Welcome all to the Agile Talks. I am Anshu Gupta and along with me is Vinod Krishnan. On this show, we dive into the principles, practices, and challenges of agility in today's VUCA world. Together, we were having a discussion, and there came up some questions on how we can improve the performance of an agile release train which is existing within the project. And so we decided to take this as our topic of discussion. A reason why we consider it as a crucial uh, to be discussed on this show is because we saw there are a lot of questions that are coming up around this area. So that made us think that we should discuss it over a wide forum. So here we will specifically be discussing on why it's essential to define an approach for an uh, art performance, how it actually differs from art maturity assessments, and how we can bridge a gap between these two. So, without wasting time, let's start with our discussion on what is meant by an art performance improvement plan and why it's important for an organization to define a clear approach towards improving performance of an agile release train. Hey Vinod, so what is your take on it?
Okay, uh, Anshu, thank
Yeah.
you. I'm really excited to join. Uh, yep. Art itself, when you create an art agile release train, uh, it's for delivering the value for the organization and the customers. And without a well-defined performance approach, there is no way to measure this, and we will not come to know if art is on the right track. A defined approach will provide clarity of purpose and focus on value and continuous improvement. So, with clear performance criteria, arts can identify gaps, and if there is any kind of gaps, they can take action and rectify it using the inspect and adapt sessions. So, what do you think, Anshu?
Absolutely, Vinod. So performance is not just about delivery speed. It's about ensuring how art is actually aligned with the overall business objectives and customer needs. Okay. It's not just about that whether an art is continuously delivering over time with the speed, whether their velocity is good or not. It's not just about that. It's about the alignment with the business object and customer needs. So alignment to velocity or speed, that is all covered as part of maturity assessments, which we will be discussing later. But here we need to focus, we need to understand that how art is related or how it's aligned with the business objectives. And definitely, without clear matrices, it's easy to get lost in the process and lose sight of outcomes also. So, one more thing which I love here is what Vinod you mentioned on the meaningful matrices. Too often, what we have observed is that team measure either everything or nothing. When you measure too much, it's very easy to get lost in data. So, when we collect the data, we need to understand what is meaningful and that can be analyzed and used to track the performance on how art is performing. With the performance, what we understand is that not just about delivery, it's about the well-being of an art also, with how uh, collaborative an art is, how aligned an art is with the objective business objectives, how it's aligned with the overall agility principles, how it's collaborating with other arts. Everything in a nutshell comes about in a performance improvement plan. And not only this, we also need to understand that where we want to take an art to. That also is part of a improvement plan. So, what do you think, Vinod?
Yeah, excellent. So, art performance. So, when we create a kind of plan and approach for the art performance, it will help the teams to stay focused and without losing the track and without any distraction, the team can achieve their business goals. So, as we now discuss about art performance, what do you think, Anshu, it's like art performance differs from art maturity assessments? What's your take on that?
Uh, yeah, here it's very crucial to understand that what is the distinction between two. Though there's a thin line between the two, but art maturity assessment is actually a part of an art performance improvement plan. See, there are a lot of maturity assessments which can be run for an art team, for Scrum Masters, for any role, for overall art, if we take up safe implementation. So there are a lot of assessments are there, which can be even tailored. So what those assessments are all about are how the team or an art are aligned to the framework principles, and how well those principles are implemented within the team and the art. But an improvement plan is just in a starting. These art assessments are just in a starting point for a performance improvement plan. So the results that you get from art assessments that become an input to devise a performance improvement plan and where you want to take an art to. So there's just a small line, but most of the times what we have observed is that we conduct a lot of assessments, and after that we just stop. Okay, the art is performing well, the assessments are good, and we just leave it. So we should not leave at that point of time. Art assessments just give you a idea that the principles are implemented well, the framework is implemented well, but it will not give you a correct representation of the well-being of an art. So that is actually a part of your improvement plan. Now, in cases where your art assessment has given you certain parameters that here there's an improvement required. So now how you are going to improve to reach to the next level, that all goes into an improvement plan. So that approach from a starting point, what the assessment gave, to the point where you want to go, that is all an improvement plan is. Now there can be certain cases where you have a art which is very good in terms of assessments. All um, check boxes in the assessments are ticked, and all the principles are implemented well. The framework is good, everything, but still, it's not performing well. It's not. So we mean to say that performance can never is just one thing. Art assessments just give you an idea about the framework. Performance is much more on that. Maybe your art is has implemented all the principles well, and the delivery that they are giving here, those are not being directly used immediately by the end consumers. So deliveries are happening on time in a short span of time with all good matrices, but the ROI on the investment, the customer satisfaction is not good. So that says that your art is good in assessments but not performing well, and the vice versa is also true, where your assessments are not good but the art is performing well. because they are just focused on the value they are delivering, not on the principles of any framework. So, Vinod, what do you think on it?
Yes, actually, yeah, you're right. In other words, like art maturity assessment is like how well the art has is following the agile principles and safe principles, and how good the team understanding and implementing the lean agile principles are all the ceremonies being followed. So this is the kind of art how we calculate the art maturity. But as you told, art, even though you have practicing all the safe principles and the app is matured, it may not be giving the organization the result what they're expecting, and the customers and the business value may not be generating. So there, that's the difference between the difference in this art agile maturity assessment and art performance. Anshu, like, what do you think? So, what's the solution for this? How do you bridge the gap between this art maturity assessment and the performance?
So you have raised a good point, Vinod. So this is a golden question: how we can bridge the gap, marry the two. So what I think is that we should start assessments uh, as assessments. Consider it as a starting point for a performance improvement plan. Now, then you need to clearly define the goals. That what are the art objectives, um, how the objectives are aligned to the business outcomes, and what is the customer value that you are going to deliver. Here, we should not just use the process based matrices, but we should also use some outcome based matrices like delivery lead time or the defect density or what is the NPS, what is the ROI. All those matrices should also be used so that if we use both the outcome based matrices and delivery based matrices and the process matrices, then I think we can paint a complete picture that how the art is performing. And the last thing is that the regular check-ins through inspect and adapt sessions. We should not forget that inspect and adapt sessions are most crucial to understand how we are performing and where an improvement is required. So now we should regular based on the inspect and adapt sessions, we should regularly revisit our maturity gaps and where the delivery is getting impacted and how we can improve it. Now, there is one important point that we need to understand that an approach is not a defined framework or not a fixed approach for every team or every art. It has to be tailored for each and every team and art because every team and every art is unique in its own perspective. So you need to improvise your approach when you implement it in an art or in your own teams. What do you think, Vinod?
Right, those are actually very good points. I would like to add one point we need to foster a mindset shift, and art leaders and all the team members, they need to embrace the both value driven thinking and process excellence.
Couldn't agree more, Vinod, on it. It's not an either or, it's a balance. So it's not like you can have a performance improvement plan as a separate thing and art maturity assessments as separate thing. They both have to go hand in hand. You start with the art maturity assessments and then use it to define a performance improvement plan. So both go hand in hand, and you need to have a right balance when using both the things: performance improvement plan, and then maturity assessments. And I think with this, we can wrap up our today's discussion on how you can improve the performance of an agile release train. And we hope this episode has helped you understand why defining an approach for art performance is essential and how it differs from the maturity assessments, along with how you can use both, where you can use both. Vinod?
Yeah. Thanks. Thanks all. Thank you, Anshul. So, if you have enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to subscribe, share with your network, and leave us a feedback.
And thanks for tuning in to Agile Talks. Until next time, keep delivering value and stay agile. Thank you.